So welcome once again to another Super League Raw in conversation with, and we are delighted to have Huddersfield Giants Harry Rushton with us for this episode. Harry, welcome to Super League Raw.
Thank you very much. So good to be on.
Absolutely, our pleasure having you on, my friend. Right, we're going to settle you in Super League Raw style. So first things first, dead easy. What's your favourite film of all time?
Monsters Inc.
Monsters Inc. That's one for the kids. Good man. Happy days. What's your favourite song?
I like country. I'll go Beautiful Crazy, Luke Combs.
You know what? I think Luke Combs has come up in about 3 episodes. Country is very well listened to in rugby league circles. Is this on in the changing rooms or something, or is it just?
I wouldn't say so. I got it from Australia when I was over there.
Right.
I think they come over and kind of introduce all the English boys over here to it. So
yeah, we've had a lot, and Luke Combs has come up 3 or 4 times as well. Interesting. 3 words that best describe Harry Rushton.
Got me on the spot there. Hard working, quiet. I'd say quiet was one, and passionate.
Good man. Obviously, a bit of downtime, only a little bit of downtime these last couple of weeks and months. What are you watching on TV at the moment? What's your box set, mate?
Vikings.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, good. Look, nothing wrong with that. Harry and the Hendersons or Dirty Harry?
Well, I have no idea what that means.
No, I'm showing my age now. That's unbelievable because I know you're a lot younger than me. So Harry and the Hendersons was Bigfoot and the Hendersons, a film.
Right, okay.
And Dirty Harry was Clint Eastwood, a cop in San Francisco.
Oh, I'll go Dirty Harry then.
You know, watch Dirty Harry. Go and watch it. And your birthday is the 13th of November, and the baddie in that is called Scorpio. Who'd have known? Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought that? Well worth you going and having a look at that one, mate. What's your go-to dance move at a wedding? What's your best shape, mate?
Not been to many weddings. I don't do much dancing. I'd go the robot.
The robot. Hey, I'm not going to ask you to stand up and give us an example. I won't do that to you. Right. What's your favourite away ground to visit?
I like. Don't do well there, but I like OKR. I like the atmosphere at OKR.
Special last year, I believe, for players.
OKR.
Yeah, Craven Park.
Yeah. What do you mean special?
Special in terms of the
atmosphere. Sorry, yeah, it's all that. I thought you meant for Giants. I was going to say.
No. No. There weren't many special things. We'll get to that later. Yeah, but go on. No, the actual atmosphere as a player playing in that type of environment. What was it like?
Oh, it just feels like the fans are on top of you. Like I say, I know we've not won, but I think that's great. I think the fact it's great the fans get behind them and pack it out every week. I think it's good for the game as well. It looks great when you're there, and it's all, you've not got an empty seat. I think, I love it.
Yeah, well, hopefully, new stadium on the horizon, hopefully for the Carbal Army, and maybe you can generate one yourselves when that happens. Right. On that topic, actually, because we do this, we go on the fly. Really difficult, the John Smiths, to create an atmosphere. Of course, that's where we first met to set this up. Do you think that hinders getting new people into Huddersfield Giants? Because if a spectator who's never watched rugby league who goes into that, and it's quite threadbare and it's a difficult atmosphere, it's a difficult callback. But if you're in a smaller stadium, like for example Leigh, so if you look at what Leigh's achieved, it's a smaller, purpose-built stadium. Great atmosphere. Do you think when you move to Huddersfield, any new people that come to the game, you might be able to hold them because it will generate a better atmosphere?
I hope so. Yeah, I'm not sure it makes a massive difference. I think sort of on TV and for the game as a whole, I think it'll make more of a difference being able to pack out a small stadium. Obviously, it'll have better atmosphere. But I'm not sure because I'm not a fan, so I can't really speak from their perspective. But yeah, a better atmosphere obviously leads to more people coming. But I also think that the team doing better, performing better, will make the biggest difference. But yeah, I think for us to have our own stadiums, I think it's just good for the club moving forward in every aspect. Sort of getting Aussies to come over, getting the young kids through, they'll feel like they've got more of a sort of home. So I think it'll just for the club behind the scenes, I think it'll do a world of good.
Superb. Right, the hardest player you've come up against in your career thus far?
As a middle, I'd say Jared Hargreaves when we played against New Zealand. He's a tough bloke.
And you're going to have that again next season?
Yeah. If he can stay on the field, because obviously, I think NRL are a bit more lenient than the Super League. But yeah, he's a great player. I think he's still pretty underrated. I think he's one of probably the best middles to play the game, especially in my sort of generation where I've been watching, not been much better. And he's played a lot of games. I think he's played over 300 NRL games, and I know a lot of people play 300 Super League games, but NRL's got a short season. Not many people do that. He'll go down as a legend of the game.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt. I mean, I think that's what everybody's waiting for. Can he adapt to Super League in terms of the discipline side? You'll be watching the disciplinary panel the week before Huddersfield play KR then in that case. A couple of Hail Marys maybe.
Fingers crossed.
Oh dear, love it. Outstanding. Right, who's the best player that you played alongside in your career today?
There's been a lot. I never ended up playing with him at Wigan, but just training with him for a short period of time. Sean O'Loughlin he's got to be the best. He was just a great leader, and the way he spoke to especially young players it was great. It was as if he was a coach already while he was still playing. And like I said, I didn't really get much time with him. I came through and he was probably my idol at Wigan. But yeah, he'd be the best player that I've sort of trained with. Playing wise, I'd say Joe Tarpany in Australia. He's probably a bit similar to Locke, he's obviously younger. But he's a great leader. They'll be their captain next year. I think he'll do great. His skill on the pitch is phenomenal, and sort of like a bit like I said, similar to Locke, the way he sort of nurtures the young kids is great, and just you get a buzz around him, and you're safe from getting battered while they're on the field. They're the sort of players you want to play with. Sorry.
Well, you're maturing into that. It won't be in another 4, maybe 5 years, it'll be you that'll be looking after the new kids coming through, as it were. But in terms of lockers, I mean, obviously you signed that big contract at Wigan alongside Matty P. Do you think he will be prized away from that? I mean, I think it's still a 6 or 7 year. Do you think, because you'll know the man better than I will, do you think he'll want to be a head coach before the end of that contract should Matty P see out his 8 years?
You know what? I can't say I know him that well. Obviously, I was very young when I was at Wigan, and I came through, and like I said, I kind of idolised him as a player. But I'm sure he's as ambitious as anyone else, so it wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, they've got something really good going on there at Wigan. It's hard to kind of, unless you go to the NRL, it's hard to step up from that Wigan environment. I think at the minute, anyway, in Super League, obviously there's ebbs and flows, as we've seen with Saints this year and how they've been going in the past to this year. But yeah, I think I don't know. But
you don't know.
I don't know. But I mean, I'm sure if you got an NRL offer as a head coach, I'm sure who wouldn't.
Yeah.
And I think the NRL are realising our game's a lot closer than what they thought in the past. Obviously, with what Saints did in the World Club Challenge and what Wigan have done, I think they've realised they're not. I think they're still ahead of us, but they're not, miles ahead in terms of the club competition. I think a lot of what the coaches over here do would benefit them a lot over there. Obviously, I've gone a bit on a tangent here, but I think obviously a lot of the things we do in Super League actually isn't really coached or isn't sort of valued over there. So if an English coach like Matty or Lockers went over there, I'm pretty sure they'd thrive.
Well, we've seen Brea's, he's been quite revered over at Brisbane, hasn't he, this season? And if Matty P keeps doing what he's doing, will he be the first English, head coach over there for many a year? We'll wait and see. Right, who was your rugby league hero growing up on the terraces?
What's it? Hero. It's pretty. Yeah, Sandberg. Who wouldn't say that as a middle? I mean, I think I idolise him even more now because of what he's doing as a coach and how good he's been, and I think he's done something where he's gone straight from his career into coaching and succeeding. I don't think many people have done that.
No, and of course you'll be playing alongside his brother this year. Looking forward to him on your side.
Yeah, I've not met him yet, but like I say, he's a bit of a legend of the game as well. So it's always good to learn from these older players, even if they're, not at the pinnacle of the career. Say they still have loads of. Obviously, he'll be a great player, and he's got loads of knowledge, and he'll have had how many people he's learned from in the past. And if he can pass just a little bit of that on to me, yeah, I'll be a better player for it.
100%. And do you know what? I feel for Tom because I think Tom, had Sam have not been his brother, I think Tom would probably have got far more raps for the great career he's had at Souths.
Yeah, you forget George as well. I mean,
Mm.
George had some great years at South, especially when they won the final. So yeah, but I'm not in their shoes, but I'm sure it's great playing alongside your brothers. I'm sure you'd take that over sort of personal success any day.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I think there's no doubt Tom Burgess will add a lot to the front line of Huddersfield, and of course, in order for JWH to get to you, he's got to get through Tom. So happy days, that'll be good. Right, let's describe some of the players that you played with. Sorry, in one word. You got one word to describe these players. Chris Hill,
Legend.
Tuilola Haya.
More than one word, but I'll say off the cuff.
Off the cuff. Essen Masters.
Funny.
Elliot Whitehead.
Experienced.
Nick Kotrick.
Live wire.
And that'll perk some ears up watching this. Jordan Rapana. That's a name.
Mad.
He needs to be. Needs to be where he's headed. I'm only joking. People who are watching me from that side of the country. I'm only kidding. Jake Connor.
Misunderstood.
Kevin Nagama.
Passionate.
Leroy Cudjoe.
I'm going to use it again, but legend.
How good is he?
Yeah.
To be around.
He's amazing. So I've not actually trained with him in off season, but Aidan McGowan's been telling me he's been training with Leroy, and he says he's fitter than him. And bear in mind, Aidan's one of the fittest at Huddersfield, and you think, how does he still have this sort of drive to go on the field while we're in off season and go and smash out all his conditioning? He's got a different mindset, and he's just so passionate about the game. I obviously probably know he's going to get into coaching as well.
Yeah,
it's great to see. He's such a great role model outside of rugby. He just sounds like I'm sort of blowing smoke up his arse here, but he's just a great bloke, just a really, really nice guy. I'd be surprised if anyone's ever met him and not liked him.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, what I've seen of him, spoke to him a couple of times, and what I hear of him, very, very special indeed. And of course, Huddersfield through and through, you put him open at, say, Giants, wouldn't it? People like that in the dressing room, the ones who, I mean, I'm not saying that those who come from other parts of the country aren't invested in the club, but those people like Leroy, they are 100% Giants, aren't they? What does that do in a dressing room? From your perspective, to have somebody like Leroy, you just blood, sweat, and tears, it's Giants all the way. What does that mean to a player like you who's recently come to the club the last couple of years?
I think it calms your nerves a bit. Like I said before, you want to play with the players where you know that you're sort of safe playing with them. And yeah, there's obviously times in dressing room where before games, maybe we get there a couple of hours before, that people might be laughing and joking about, and it's up to a certain time before the game. Like it's pretty normal. But Leroy will always shut that down at a certain time if it's if it's a bit too close to the game and if you can see people getting distracted. But I think even he doesn't speak much before the game. But just being in his presence, it kind of calms you. It's similar to Chris Hill. Chris Hill was the same as well. Sort of being around them, they've been around the block. They've played that many games and at such a high level. Yeah, like I say, I'd say it's calming more than anything.
Yeah, has he got the like the Big Daddy stare? Has he got like a stare? You know it's time to shut up. He just has to look at you.
Yeah, I think that's what he does. Uses one of his words, Leroy. Yeah, I think I've not got one yet, but I think if you get one of his stares, he's one of them where you'll just shut up. He's not a soft bloke. I don't think. Well, I know he's not a soft bloke. So yeah.
Just have visions of you in slow motion sitting down. Happy days, great stuff. Right, the last one, 3 dinner party guests, alive or dead. So you've got 3 people that you can invite round for dinner. Who would you invite round and why?
Oh gosh. Jesus Christ, that'd be one of them. I think
That's the first. We've not had the big JC yet, so that's interesting. Go on. Look on the bright side, you won't go hungry with all those bread and fishes, mate. Carry on.
You got Julius Caesar. He was the head of the Romans, wasn't he, back in the day? I want to know how he did that. He conquered the world, didn't he? And what was about the found America?
Well, don't ask me. Tom Cruise. In found out I haven't got a Scooby Doo.
I think it was Columbus. I'd have him. I'm interested in all this history stuff. I like to know things that no one knows.
No, I think it was Christopher Columbus, to be fair. But hey, tell you what, that's his story. See, do you like your history then? Is that something that floats your boat?
More as curious. I wouldn't say I'm into. I'm just curious about it. I like. I always think, some things that people will never know. It constantly goes through my head in a weird way. You know how people say, when people there's like a TikTok trend once, you ask your boyfriend about the Roman Empire and they'll tell you loads about the Roman Empire, a bit like that. I just like I say, just curious, just want to know.
Mate, do you know what? That'd be an interesting dinner party. I'd love to be a fly on the wall at that one. Fantastic stuff. Right, okay, let's get into you then. What got you into rugby league? Where did you amateur wise? What? Because you're Blackpool, aren't you?
Yeah. Grew up in Blackpool. My dad's family from Rochdale, so they're big Hornets fans. My dad's dad. And they moved to Blackpool when my dad was young. And then my dad just took me to. Started out at Rugby Union, played down at Fleetwood Rugby Union. And I think I scored, my dad tells me, I don't remember. He reckons I scored 10 tries in one game. When it was tag, I think. So I think he thought, we'll take him to rugby league because that's what my dad was passionate about. So I went down to St. Pat's when I was maybe 8 and played there. Didn't have a team my age, so I played a year up. I don't think it was out of choice. Well, it wasn't out of choice. But I think that sort of helped me as a player. Playing a year up makes a big difference. Obviously, I wasn't big, but I was tall and lanky. So it's, like I say, it's good to kind of play against players bigger than you, or at least the same size as you. So I went through there. Then when you get to 16s, obviously it goes to 18s. So they were a year above me. So I'd have been 15 playing 18. So I moved to Shevington Sharks then. I played a year or two. I can't remember. One of the played in the same team as Jamal Hanley. Me, Jamal Hanley, and Jack Bibby in the same team. So we had a decent team. So that was good because I kind of went from playing. I mean, when I was at Pats, we played with Blackbrook with the main team. They had like Wellesby, and a few others like Matty Foster, Jake Winfield. So then to go to my own age and kind of have a couple of years where I could express myself, and I was probably one of the better players of my own age. But obviously, a year up, I might have been up there, but I wasn't doing anything amazing. That was good for them 2 years to kind of express myself, and I think that helped my career a lot as well. Just getting a bit of confidence before going to the Wigan, going into the academy at Wigan. So I was at scholarship at the time, so I'd have my hard training in the week at scholarship, and then be able to go and have a bit of fun at the weekend playing in that. So yeah, that's how I came through, and then like I say, I was at Wigan signed at Wigan when I was 14. That was when I was still at St. Pat's. And then, I went through there. But yeah, it's tough gig going through at Wigan. Well, it was. I'm not sure if it is now. I'm pretty sure it's still the same. But so I think that's kind of moulded me into the player I am today, yeah.
Happy days. So, of course, just I'll touch on what you mean by tough in a minute. But you mentioned Jamal Hanley there. Opportunity knock this year, of course, with the Tom Briscoe injury. Opened the door for Jamal. He took it, didn't he? You'd expect now he's nailed down a spot there now for Lee. I mean, I don't know if you keep in touch with him or not, but you must be pleased for him.
Yeah, no, I've not spoken to him in a while actually. Yeah, but yeah, I'm really pleased for him. Yeah, he was always like, top dog coming through. Like he's great. He's got great feet. He's elusive. He's got great balance. So he's like that, that all round athlete. And obviously, it's kind of hard to sort of replicate that in Super League against the bigger bodies and the faster players and stuff. So it takes different people time to find their feet, depending on sort of style of play, but he's like you said, he's taking his opportunity with his hands, with both hands, and he always posts on his Instagram and that about how he's training and stuff. It looks like he trains really hard, so yeah, good on him. Always happy for young lads that kind of get in there and hold their own in Super League, and I think he'll mature into a great player. He's got the athleticism, so as he sort of plays more games, I'm sure he'll only get better and better.
With regards to him, obviously you'd have known him at a younger age. Obviously, to have a dad like he's got, I mean, that's tough going. Did he get tougher treatment as a consequence of that as a young age in terms of opposition players? I mean, how you'll just touch on this whilst you played alongside him at a younger age. What was it like for him, would you say, at a younger age, with his dad being who he was?
It is probably tough, and there's probably whispers about it. No one will probably say anything to his face about them, but yeah, there's probably whispers about who he is and who his dad is. But he used to kill it when we were younger. He was, I think, lucky for him, he was probably that good that it didn't really matter. It was like it wasn't like his dad was a great player and he was rubbish, so he was kind of in his shadow. He was great, yeah, and he was just a normal, genuine, nice, humble bloke. So yeah, I'd probably say it didn't make much of a difference for him.
Good. Well, that's good to hear. Now, you say that coming through Wigan was tough. 14 years of age, going through that. Just talk us through, because there'll be some young kids who play for Wigan, St. Pat's now, Black, all of these feeder clubs in and around the Wigan area. When you say tough, describe that as a 14-year-old. What do Wigan put you through if you are to be signed by Wigan at that young age?
A lot of, I don't know, like I said, I don't know if it's changed, but we used to, well, I know they don't train it anymore. We used to train at Central Park, which is like a college. We used to have like a full padded room in there, a bit like you'd imagine like an asylum sort of room. We used to go in there, do wrestling there, and you just get sort of beasted for an hour-ish. You'd be doing everything you can imagine, running at each other, bloody bear crawling around the room, and you go so you couldn't really anymore. And I think that's, at the time, it was horrible. I think we'd all had days at college or school, and we'll go to that and what have we got tonight? We've got this, that, and it was. But I think that's why you see so many players come through Wigan, because it's only only the toughest survive. If you've been through all that training from 14 to kind of 18, then you probably you're ready mentally and sort of physically to play Super League. It's just then about the skill and stuff like that. So yeah, it was tough, but they're also pretty tough on you sort of skill wise. And we had a lot of good coaches there. We had Shane Eccles. He's still the head of academy there. With Anthony Atherton, Sean McHugh. There's a lot of players that sort of in the amateur. There's a lot of coaches that are in the amateur game as well. So learned the game pretty well. But they just used to, make us nail our little skill. We'd go in sometimes and just start with 100 passes each way, little stuff like that. And it was just, but there was no slacking off. If you're doing your 100 passes, you're doing properly. You wouldn't be, just going through the motions. You'd be doing everything properly. I think that's the way it should be. Yeah, we did while I was there, we did 2 army camps. They were really good.
How old were you when you did that, mate? How old?
That would have been first and second year of academy, so maybe maybe 15 and 16. But they were tough. Like, take your phone off you, you'd get off, you'd do 100 burpees straight away. You go into your room, you'd be up at 6, you'd be running around. It'd be. I think people sort of think of the training and think, these lads only train however many times a week, or they've got it easy, and that is right to an extent. But when you are training, it is tough, especially at that age, and like you don't get paid loads of money at that age, and it's more about your passion for the game. You've got full week of school or college, and then it'd be 2 nights a week we were training scholarship, and then maybe 3 nights a week at academy. So you more do it for the passion of the game, and sort of ambition to go further. But yeah, it was tough, and I'm pretty sure anyone that's come through Wigan probably says it's the toughest few years you have. When it gets to first team, I feel like you kind of battle hard into it then. But yeah, it was. I think I've got respect for anyone that's gone through sort of Wigan Academy, because I know they'll have been through that training, and there'll be tough players, and that's why we can get them tough players coming in. You don't really see a young player that plays for Wigan and they're not sort of ready or tough, you know. So yeah, we've got Sam also came through with me at Wigan. He's at Huddersfield now, and sort of that shows in his game as well. So yeah, it's I'm sure it's a different environment to a lot of scholarships and academies.
Yeah, he had a good year as well, Sam, didn't he? He grew into last season. I mean, it's interesting because it's not just you commit. I mean, what I'm hearing there, and I think people who are watching this might have heard there, some key aspects are probably commitment. Because, at a young age, 14, 15, 16, people say dedication and sacrifice. At the end of the day, you're tested at a young age there, aren't you? Are you going to turn up for training? Are you going to put 110% in there? And then, of course, you talk, which is your work ethic. And then, of course, in terms of building you, in terms of your character as well, isn't it? There's a lot going on there, as opposed to just the physical side of the wrestling, the training, the skills and the rest. It's about developing you and your mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, you probably don't realise that at the time, and you think these coaches are just, idiots.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They just want to hurt you. But I'm sure that's all planned out by Wigan. They're not, they're not stupid. They'll know it'll build your character, and it's definitely built mine. I think that them few years from like 14 to 18 have sort of matured me as a person more than anything. I'm sure it's else has been through.
Well, having done all of that work, you had a very brief time as a first team player at Wigan. But that said, quite a heavy defeat to Saints as well on that day. But as a family, I can imagine a very proud moment for your parents to see, that all of that work at a young age had finally got you on the park.
Yeah, it was a bit unfortunate. It was through COVID. Sort of, it was weird. So we had the furlough period, and then we brought the first team back. But there was probably six of us. There was like me, Mia Borough, Yumila Hanley, that didn't go back with the first team at first. So we were sort of training on the park, doing the social distance training, going through our sort of conditioning and stuff. And then I think it was about 6 weeks before my game we got brought in. Obviously, they had a lot of games. I think it was. I think they sort of condensed a lot of games together because they've missed a few through COVID. So I'm pretty sure we all got brought in. I think it was I can't remember the game, but anyway, they had a semi-final or quarter-final against Leeds the next week, the Challenge Cup. So they wanted to rest a lot of the first teamers. So yeah, we got brought in for that. It was kind of sprung upon us. I don't think we were expecting it. Obviously against Saints, you think, we're never getting a chance here. But yeah, it was a great moment for me personally. Just to sort of get rewarded for them years of hard work at Wigan more than anything. But I hate losing, so afterwards, not so good.
And I'm right. Did that get played at Salford? Was that at Wigan? I thought.
No,
I'm
pretty sure.
Didn't he play that at Salford?
Might have been. It might have been. Yeah,
I think he played that at Salford. I think they did. Anyway, at the time. So am I right in thinking no fans in the stadium on that day?
Yeah, no fans. Yeah,
that's a real shame. So your parents didn't get to see you for your first game, which again, during that COVID period, probably was lost on a lot of us. We're just happy that we've got a bit of rugby league to watch. But for you as a family, it must have been hard that for your mum and dad to not actually physically be there to see you make your Super League debut.
Yeah, they got to watch it on TV. So but my dad's, I don't think, apart from being on holiday, I don't think he's ever missed one of my games. So yeah, but I think it was more calming for us playing. Obviously, your debut would usually be in front of, especially Wigan and Saints, before front of loads of fans, and you'd be really nervous. But it just felt at the time it didn't feel such a big occasion because there was no fans there. So it's probably good for our first taste of sort of first team action.
Yeah, and was it a FaceTime straight after the game to mum and dad, or did you wait until you got home?
No, it would have been straight after the game. Yeah.
Happy days.
That probably told me I didn't play
great. Well, yeah, I mean, it was a tonking. And what's really interesting here, actually, because I did a bit of research on that particular game before come on. tell you what, where would this team finish now? This will surprise many people. So on that day, it was round 14 in Super League 2020, a 42 points to nil thrashing by St. Helens always goes down. Actually, it's probably a good thing there was no fans in the stadium with a scoreline like that. But this was the team. And this is, where would this team finish now? Full back was Jamal Hanley. On the wings was Sam Halsall and Jake Bibber. Centres was Chris Hankinson, Gus Salford, James McDonald. The half backs were Harry Smith and Joe Shorrocks. The two props were Joe Bullock and Liam Byrne. Amir Borough was hooker. Joe Greenwood and Harry Rushton second row. Jack Wells at fullback. At loose forward. And then off the bench was Ben Flower, Ben Kilner, KPP, Kai Pearce-Paul, of course, and Mitch Clark. Now, today, in the here and now, all those years later, that'd be quite a competitive team, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be. It won't be. I don't think it'd be a bottom three team anyway. Yeah.
You think it would? It would be 42-0, surely.
Oh no, I think we'll win now. Do you know what? Actually, in the game, we were in the contest for a bit. I think it was 18-0 at half time. Sam also had been in the first half. I think just towards the tail end of the game, they just got us with a bit of class.
Yeah, you're in the game in the tunnel, definitely. There's no doubt about that. I'm only pulling your leg, mate. But yeah, do you know what? Like I say, what a side. When you consider where all of those went. I mean, again, you talk about Wigan as producing younger players. I mean, that is quite a list that have gone on, a lot of them outside of Wigan, to bigger and better things. Harry Smith, we've been talking about Harry Smith, his international performances and the player that he is. Of course, you played with him on that day. For me, I'd love to get your view on this. I don't think Wigan do the quadruple if Harry Smith isn't playing number 7 for Wigan in current form. I think his game management in all the finals that I've seen has been exceptional. What's your thought on that? Does Harry Smith get the record? Because we even went as far to say if that was Nathan Cleary doing to Samoa what Harry Smith did, especially in game 1, his kicking game is on point. It'd be revered on every bit of rugby league press, but for some reason he isn't. I mean, what's your take on him?
I do agree. I think he's a great player. I think he's a big game player as well, from what I've seen. Seems to not let the pressure get to him, especially in the grand final. I think he was great. To be fair, I don't really look at much media and stuff like that in terms of rugby league, so I wouldn't know sort of if he gets praised or if he doesn't. But I think Super League he's looked down on by the Aussies. I think that's a big thing. But it's hard to compare him because they play in different competitions and different games. Until Australia play against England, it is very hard to compare. I saw the Radlinski comment about that Nathan Cleary won't get in the Wigan team, but I think the NRL and Super League are a lot different than what people see. Super League is very wrestle heavy. It's refereed a lot differently. You get a lot more time on the ground. It's a lot slower in terms of the actual collision and the contact, as in like in the contact in the wrestle. Whereas NRL is a lot faster. They don't allow the wrestle as much, and it's more about the. I think Super League they focus a lot on the defence. NRL they focus a lot on the attack. So it's two different games, and I do think it's hard to compare them both. I think you should just see the both players.
They are great players, but I mean, just ignoring Cleary for a moment, Harry for me, like I say, his game management, his kicking game, but in play, I mean, we know he's got a bit of work to do in terms of his conversions. That's been a bit off the last few years, but in game kicking, game management, we believe here at Super League Raw that Harry deserves to be given. For example, before a Sky game, you don't see a 2-minute Harry Smith video being played and look out for Harry Smith today, and of course he's playing with arguably the best player in Super League in Bevan French. We get that, but he does get overlooked for me in Super League for what he actually does for Wigan.
Yeah, I think the average fan that just likes to watch a game on the weekend probably doesn't see them little things. They see the Bevan French kicks, the tries. They see Liam Marshall diving over in the corner. They don't. A bit similar to how a lot you don't really get forwards getting mentioned. I think talking about Wigan, obviously Cade Ellis had a great season, but you don't hear anything about him just because he doesn't do the flash stuff. Well, I think it's the same in every team. undervalued, and it's probably the same with Harry Smith because he's a traditional seven. That's not stepping people. It's not doing a job. Even Jack Fireman went in the team, and he did some spectacular things, especially for a young kid. And he did that. He did that grubber to himself and scored, didn't he? Again,
He did.
Yeah, but,
Good try.
Yeah, so he obviously gets a lot of sort of hype around that, but obviously Harry Smith isn't that sort of player. So yeah, I guess if you don't score the tries, if you don't do the flash stuff, then you probably don't get seen by the majority. Yeah, that's my view on it.
Well, you asked your dad, because you've told me your dad watches Super League Raw. You asked your dad. Cade Ellis came in for a lot of praise from Super League Raw last year. That's something that we pride ourselves on here, Harry, is that we actually look right across the park. I think even yourself made an appearance in Team of the Week for Super League Raw this year. We actually did, and this might prick your ears up a little bit. We did a Super League Raw trophy, our version of the Goldthorpe Stroke Man of Steel this year. And we did it a little bit differently. And 170 odd players got given points by Super League Raw in that, which was way more than Man of Steel and around 45 more than Goldthorpe. But what we did, which was a little bit different, was we gave a point 3-2-1 like they do in the game. But then we give an extra point for somebody who's in Team of the Week because they've been in the best in their position. We give 2 points to who's in Team of the Month because that's about consistency. They must have played all the games in the month. And then if they get into the Team of the Month, they get another 2 points. And then the Player of the Month gets 3. And that's how we do it. Because for me, the Man of Steel and the Goldthorpe, it doesn't take into account consistency. It's one game, 3-2-1. So that's what we do. And Mr. Rushton got points last year.
I'm surprised at that. I didn't stand out much last year, but yeah, I think in terms of that, I think you're probably right in doing that. I think Man of Steel's a little bit flawed. Obviously, if it's harder to get it in a good team. Obviously, Michael Lewis got it in a good team this year. Great season, but yeah, you've seen in the past that a better player and a standout player in a not as good team will get it rather than kind of maybe better players in them that have all been playing for the same team, so they can't get the points. So probably does need to be looked at. But at the same time, it's one person gets the Man of Steel, isn't it? So it doesn't really affect the players that much, I don't think.
No, but I do think that the scoring it should be fair, and I think that it would actually add a little bit more prestige in that respect. You got 4 points, mate. You got 4 points.
Oh, wow.
So next year, I'll tell you how much you've improved by.
Get a five.
Yeah. And actually, I think if memory serves me right, I think some of those points came the game after Luke Yates left and you slotted into 13. And on that particular day, I thought you had a sensational game.
Yeah, I think, to be fair, I didn't really get much chance at 13 this year. I think I've only played 3 games there. That's my preferred position. Long term, I think that's where I can have the best impact on the team. That's sort of how I look at it, not sort of how I can play the best myself, but how I can sort of influence the team the best. And I feel the more games I get there, the better. I'm more of a ball player than a runner. But obviously, I've got that sort of the willingness to work hard sort of thing in the middle of the park, and I just like getting stuck into it. So yeah, obviously we've got Leroy at the minute, haven't we? So it's tough. So I'm not sure what Rob will do next year in terms of where he'll play me, but yeah, I think long term that's where I'll be.
Yeah, and of course, there's a lot of flexibility in that back line. Right, let's go back to your career. You've been Wigan, you've had that Saints game, and then Canberra come up. I mean, talk us around that. I mean, here's a young Harry Rushton. He's come through the academy. He's got his debut against St Helens, and all of a sudden, Canberra Raiders come knocking. How did that come about?
Yeah, so that was before I'd even made my debut. It was after my first year of academy at Wigan. I had a decent year, but so did everyone in that academy team. We had a great academy team, and then yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest. It was COVID, so everything was kind of up in the air, and I was speaking to my dad about just trying my hand over there. If it was under 20s or whatever it was, because we didn't know what would happen. There was talk of maybe Super League could go under or whatever, and
yeah.
I was passionate about making it my career. I'd not done much then, so it's kind of nothing to lose. And then people Holland, sadly passed away now, but he dealt with me going over there, and he was great. I ended up signing a 3-year contract at Canberra. It was a surprise to me. I'd not, like I say, I'd not done anything then really, like that at all. But yeah, it was great. I signed that early on in COVID, maybe May time of that year. And yeah, I just sort of went from there, went over, and yeah, it was a great time, great experience.
Let me pick your brains on that. So you've talked about, the transition in Wigan, the Beastings, the sessions, etc. And then you go over to the other side of the world and you experience Canberra's setup. How did that compare? Wigan to Canberra. How did it compare?
I can't really comment much on Wigan because I didn't spend that much time around the first team, and because it was COVID times, it's probably a bit different. But it wasn't too far apart. They've just got a new state-of-the-art facility in Canberra, so that was great. But it was more the difference in training. It's just, I think, to be fair, it's less on the club and more depends on the performance staff there at the time. Wigan's probably a lot different than when I was there now. Canberra's probably a lot different than when I was there. So it was just more the difference in training, and the difference in what they valued in the game. Like I said before, that's probably the difference in the two. Wigan were very wrestle heavy and sort of contact heavy and being tough. Whereas you went over to Canberra and it was more about the skill, more about the technique. So that's where I sort of found the difference between the two.
Fair enough. And of course, you played a lot of New South Wales Cup, didn't you, over there predominantly? We'll get to your debut for Canberra in a minute. But in terms of the New South Wales Cup, a lot of people who don't follow the NRL won't be well versed in their second, where the like their reserve grade, etc. How it all works over there. The standard of the New South Wales Cup. Talk us through that. How good a standard was that? Because there's a few of our boys currently over there played in New South Wales Cup.
Yeah, it's really good standard. You'd be surprised. It's not Super League standard, but I'd say it was probably between Championship and Super League. More probably close to Super League, but not Super League standard. But you've got a good mix in there. You've got your sort of, like we played Parramatta, say, and they had Jordan Rankin who'd come back from Super League. They also had young Ellie, that played at the back row that played.
Yeah, he had a hell of a season, didn't he?
Yeah. So he played for them. So we had, you have a mixture of young and old lads coming through. The young lads coming through, the old lads at the end of the career. But it's good standard. It's consistent. That's probably what we're lacking in Super League. We don't have a consistent reserve grade. But there, you, as you can imagine, you've got talent coming through constantly. And they've got the tiers, so they've got obviously the Howe Matthews, which is under 16s, Jersey Flag under 19s, and you move up to New South Wales Cup. So it's a completely different competition to the NRL, and it's great. You'll have, so most teams are either feeder teams for NRL, so you've got your North Sydney Bears, Roosters feeder team, or we had Canberra Raiders New South Wales Cup, which was just Canberra's New South Wales Cup team. So pretty much everyone in there is aspiring to get to the NRL, apart from obviously a few of the older boys like Jordan Rankin at the end of the career. So it's good, and I think for me, I'd not really played against men much. So just to go over there and just play against a good standard of men was good. It was hard for me to find my feet at first. I played back row first, and I didn't have a great first season, and then kicked on when I played at 13, which hopefully I'll do over here as well.
Absolutely. Now, obviously, you played 3 times in the NRL for Canberra, is my understanding. And 2 of them, I mean, if you're going to play 3 times, to have Penrith Panthers and South Sydney Rabbitohs on your resume, that's not bad going, is it? The Ormers against the New Zealand Warriors. Talk us through that. I mean, what was that like making your first team debut? Talk us through that first and foremost for Canberra.
Yeah, it was great. So I had after that first year, I told myself, if I have my feet now, I need to kick on, and it was my dream to play in the NRL. So I had a good couple of trial. We had trial games. I got picked for them. I think it was Manly and someone else, but they were like full first team trials. So I played I played half decent in them. Then I had probably 10 New South Wales Cup games where I played pretty well. And I can't remember how it came about, but Ricky Stewart just pulled me to one side and said, "You're making your debut." And I was surprised. Obviously, Penrith. And to be fair, I hated him at the time. That was when everyone hated him. When they were being a bit arrogant, sort of.
Yeah.
Started sort of winning all the grand finals. So I was buzzing. I rang my dad actually, and he didn't answer, but it came through on like an Asian voicemail. So I was thinking, that's a bit weird. So my dad was already on his way over. He got tipped off by the club that I was going to make my debut. So he came over to Australia to watch. So it was great. I think I would have only got 20 minutes, 15 minutes. But it was great to be on the field with all them players at the time. I remember Liam Martin played for them and he was coming at me for the old 10, 15 minutes, however long it was. But yeah, it's more about I think it's more about the occasion on your debut than the actual game, and sort of just feeling like you're a part of that first team. So yeah, no, it was great.
I mean, you were well beat that day. You lost 36 points to 6, but then your second game came in round 8 the week after. You lost again 21 points to 20 against the Warriors. That was a very tasty game, wasn't it? And I think you led as well at half time. You let them back in, didn't you?
Yeah, so for myself, I was 18th man that day, I'm pretty sure.
Was you 18th? I had you down as bench.
No, yeah, I got brought in.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah.
I got brought in last minute. That happened
That's right.
Both my second and third game.
Yeah,
so we played the Warriors. It was at Redcliffe that. And yeah, it was when just before, like, that was the season before the Warriors started going well. So they weren't going well at the time. They probably, bottom 3. And yeah, we were leading, and I can't remember what happened. We should have got a penalty towards the end, I think, and we didn't. And then it went to extra time, 20 all, and they slotted the drop goal. So yeah, wasn't a great start to my career. 3 years, 3 losses.
Well, no. You won the last one. You won you came. Yeah. So you were back for round 11 against South Sydney. You beat them 32 points to 12.
Oh no, sorry, I was referring to the Wigan game.
Oh yeah, your Wigan game. Yeah, we won't talk about that. Things are starting to get better now, mate. 32 points to 12 against South. And of course, Mr. Burgess was on the opposing team that day. So will there be a little bit of nostalgia maybe when you meet for the first time, talking about that game in Canberra? And of course, you came out on the right side.
I mean, it was probably a bigger game in my career than it was his. He probably doesn't even remember it, to be fair. He probably won't even know I am when I go and meet him. But no, that was good, actually. I wasn't meant to play in that again. I got flown over last minute because Ryan Sutton was ill. But I think he ended up playing about 50 minutes in that game. It's kind of where I felt like comfortable playing at that sort of level. But yeah, good game. And it was good to beat South Sydney. Well, Latrell didn't play that day, so I don't know if that makes a big difference.
Oh, well. Just make sure you remind Mr. Burgess, mate. Yeah, if he might not remember, make him remember. That's a bit of bragging rights in the changing room right there. Before we move back to Huddersfield and your time over the last couple of years with Huddersfield, Ricky Stewart, probably your first real coach at that level. Yes, you played once under Adrian Lamb, but Ricky Stewart, you were obviously in and around that squad at that point. Obviously, not nice memories where he's concerned internationally for us guys over here, but as a coach. Ricky Stewart, what was he like, and what did you take away from that time with him?
He was just a good man manager. So he had 2 good assistant coaches under him, which was Brett White, used to play State of Origin, and Andrew McFadden. They were his 2 assistants. So they took most of the sort of rugby stuff on the field. That was probably the difference between Super League and over there, of sort of what I've experienced. So they took most of the on-field stuff. Ricky was would just watch on and sort of give his opinion while we were sort of training. But he was a great man manager, and I was young being over there, and he spoke to me really well. Pretty honest and upfront. Just a nice bloke. I think people underestimate how much of a difference that can have in coaching if you just know how to talk to people. I think that's probably the biggest difference between good coach and bad coach. It's not to do with the technical side of stuff. It's more to do with getting your players to play for you. And Ricky does that. Obviously, got a really good relationship with a lot of his players, especially the English ones.
And again, maybe why Sam's doing so well at Warrington this year, because I do know that speaking to a lot of the Warrington lads, got nothing but respect to. Wouldn't have respect for Sam Burgess, but he protects the players. He knows how to talk to them. It's I think there's no doubt about it. That's had a massive impact at Warrington this year.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Me myself, I've just started trying my hand at coaching. I've been coaching a winter league team in Huddersfield, a new one, and I found that even at sort of open age amateur level, that it's more about knowing how to talk to players and making them want to play. Not for you, just making them want to play. In general for the weekend. So yeah, I'm sure Sam will do great at Warrington. He seems like he knows that sort of stuff.
So you're brought back Huddersfield. Who contacted you for the Giants? How did that come about?
So I broke my jaw while I was in Oz. I had a pretty bad jaw break. I was over there on my own, didn't have any family, and it'd been through COVID. I'd only been home once while I was over there for 18 months. So I think I just needed home, really. So I told my agent, and he said he'd have a look about. But I think it was July at the time, so a lot of the clubs sort of had the squad sorted out for the next year. But Giants, it was the year after the Giants. Well, that year Giants came third.
That's right. They won the cup. Come second in the cup, didn't they?
Yeah. I wanted to come back somewhere where it seemed like a good environment, but also somewhere I could make a difference in the future. I know I only played 4 games at the time, but I was sort of thinking about my maybe 5-year plan in rugby and sort of wanted to make a difference. So I spoke to Watto at the time. He was the coach. I had a Zoom meeting with him, and sort of the values he spoke about sort of worked with me, and I felt like I could thrive under him and be the player he sort of, I think I was the sort of player he wanted in terms of morals and how you go about your training and stuff like that. So when I heard that and obviously saw how well they were doing, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, 2022 was a brilliant year, and I think 2023, because we always predict at the start of the season where we think teams going to finish, and we had Huddersfield in the playoffs. I think we may have even had them top 3 going into the season based on the season prior. Didn't turn out that way. I think you played 12 games in 23. Quite a few of them coming off the bench, finding your feet, etc. You tasted victory 3 times: Salford, Catalan, and Castleford. I don't really want to touch on 2023 because it was what it was, a disappointing season. And of course, you yourself probably haven't established. We're trying to establish yourself at that point. Would that be fair?
Yeah, and I think it's tough with my position because I think like I said, my best position is 13, and it's ball playing 13, and it's hard. And I play other positions, just not quite as well. Like I'll still give my all. I'll still do everything, but I won't. I don't think I won't play him as well as a 13. It's hard to sort of find your feet as that big minute 13 when you're young, and there's a lot of people ahead of you. So that's sort of where I needed to break through. And coming off the bench, probably I couldn't bring that impact in terms of size. And we had like Sebe Kahifo coming off the bench, flipping 100 kilos, skittling players. But that's not sort of my game. Like I say, I will go on there and I'll work hard. And I think what saw that in me, and he knew that I could just give him a sort of safe pair of hands that would just go on there and do my job. But yeah, obviously, I want to do more than just my job. I want to have an influence on a team, and but obviously wasn't doing that last year, and not many of us was, to be fair. Wasn't a great year, and then finishing.
Yeah, let's touch on last year, because I think a lot of Huddersfield fans will want me to discuss that with you, and of course, the hopes and aspirations for 2025. So in terms of last year, first and foremost, you were in Team of the Week round 18 against Salford, where you did play at loose forward. I just had a look at that while you were talking. So I knew you got into our Team of the Week. That was, I think that was the week after Yatesy went, I think, and you were put in at 13. And you had a cracking game, mate. I remember it well. You played really, really well. But as a season goes, what happened there? I mean, obviously, Watto got to Warrington. I mean, the Warrington game was a calamity. And I was there that night. I mean, there was what happened? I mean, from your perspective, what was going on at Huddersfield last year?
I think we had a good start. I'm pretty sure there was a time we had 7 wins on the bounce, including the Challenge Cup at the start of the year. I mean, that first game, I was still injured, but they beat Leeds the first game in a good game. They battered Cass, and then you know what? I'm not sure. I think some players just didn't get on with Watto. I think that was a big thing. I did personally, but some players just didn't. So I think sort of that they were. I think they would say they were 100%, but maybe not 100% in terms of constantly, in training and sort of in games. Where we did have a few injuries. Obviously, Swifty was a big part of the start of our year, and we missed him a lot. Yeah, I can't put my finger on it, to be fair. I think as soon as you start losing a bit of faith after you've lost a couple in a row, and then we got battered by Warrington. I think it's hard to come back from when you've not been in that situation before. And yeah, we were probably missing a core leadership group. A lot from the teams I've been at before, you'd have 6 or 7 players that have been there a long time that sort of help the coaching staff out in terms of like the culture and the way people train, and just the way people are around the club. And I think we probably missed that at Huddersfield. We didn't have that core group of players that have been there a long time, that were sort of experienced. Obviously, we've got Leroy who has, but Jermaine had left. Michael Lawrence left before I got here. So sort of you can bring in experience, but when they've not been at the club a while and they sort of don't know how things are run, it's hard to sort of get that core leadership group together. So I think that's what Robo will try and bring in. Yeah, I think it's not. I think people think everything on the coach and think, oh, bad coach, bad team. But if you don't have that buy-in from the players and you don't have the sort of, like I said, 6 or 7 that can lead that, it's hard for one person to lead an army, really.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you took 2 batterings from Warrington. One was in the Challenge Cup, and then the one at the Halliwell in round 16. I said in the stands that day, these lads aren't playing for this coach. And, within 48 hours, Ian Watson's gone. You say that there was a little bit of a disconnect within the dressing room with Watson. By the time you got, you said it, but from your perspective, as someone who didn't have any beef with Watson, did you feel after that Warrington game, it's over, where he was concerned? Could you see a way back from him from there?
I don't know. I try not to think about stuff like that. I just think about my game and how I can improve, because obviously, regardless of everything else, I wasn't playing well. No one was playing well in the team, whether it's your fault or everyone else's fault. So I was just looking at that, really. And coach can get sacked for losing 2 games on the bounce. Never mind.
Yeah,
I just had no idea what was going to happen. I was just focusing on trying to get myself better, which will then in turn get the team better. I think it kind of came out of the blue, if I remember right, the Watto thing, in terms of it was like maybe 2 days before a game, and the game had already been sorted out. I think I can't remember, as in terms of like the team. Yeah. So it was a bit of a shock to us all that it happened when it did, because it didn't happen straight after the game. No, but looking back, I think it was the right thing to do. And
yeah,
I wish him all the best. I think he'll be good somewhere else. It was just sometimes just a circumstance, and the players, if like I say, if you lose the dressing room, it's kind of hard to get it back.
Well, you saw Dal Powell at Warrington, and look what he's done at Wakefield last year. So it's there's ways back, isn't there? You say you were in poor form. Actually, the game before that, the Catalan one, mate, you scored 2 tries and Ray nearly did them. If you remember, just to put that in your memory bank. The game before, 22-18 defeat to Catalan, but Mr. Harry Rushton getting a brace. I don't think you've had many braces in your career, have you?
I don't remember getting a brace, to be fair. I don't know if I did. Oh, I can't remember. It's all
2, mate. You got 2 that day.
It's all a blur to me, but yeah, I just take it week by week. If I've not had a good game that week, then it doesn't matter what I've done before. I just need to find that. I always work trying to find that consistent form. At least 7, 8 out of 10 every week, and if I'm not getting that, then I'm not happy.
So how hard are you on yourself in the? So I mean, I think the Catalan game, 2 tries for Harry Rushton. It's fair to say you had a decent impact in that particular match. You might have made a few gaffes along the way, but coming off 2 tries, you're probably feeling actually I played my part there. But when you feel as if you haven't hit your own personal standards, is it your own personal standards that you judge yourself on? Are you always looking for those incremental gains for yourself?
Yeah, definitely, and it's more the stuff that people wouldn't see, like the effort areas, and the sort of the defensive movements and stuff like that. It's less about scoring the tries or the doing anything wonderful. I just try and pride myself on making every contact I want to be winning it. And I found that last year, reflecting on it, like defensively, I think I was pretty sound. Like winning most of my tackles, winning a lot of the wrestle. It's the attack that I need to work on in terms of the actual collision. Like I say, I feel like I'm a ball playing 13, which I've not kind of had the opportunity to do yet. But it's more the sort of impact in my carry and stuff like that that I need to work on. And I know that's the stuff I need to work on. So I've got enough time over pre-season to work on that and get better. And I have confidence in myself that I know that if I identify something I need to do, that I'll do it. But yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself because I know the ability that I've got, sort of I know the potential I've got sort of in the way that I train and stuff. And if I'm not where I envision myself to be or wanting to be, then I'm not happy. And I don't think any of us last year in our team, maybe apart from Leroy, could sort of say we had a season where we were content with ourselves.
Well, we had Earl on 2 weeks ago on our weekly show, and we said it on the weekly show after the end of season awards were given out at Huddersfield, and we said, as delighted as we were for Leroy Cudjoe, and Cudjoe was a very worthy winner. Let's not make any bones about that. But what does it say about the Huddersfield Giants when Leroy Cudjoe at his age, with all of that talent in the dressing room, is winning a Player of the Season at Huddersfield? What does that say?
I think it was more the fact that he won it. He won everything. He won all the awards that night, and he was so far ahead of everyone. I think if it was close, then it'd have been a bit different. But everyone already knew before we got there that Leroy was going to win everything because, of how outstanding he was compared to everyone else. Well, I think it's more of a credit to him than anything else. Like you put him in any other team, and I think he'd be there or thereabouts. But yeah, it's definitely a sort of kick up the backside for the young players that should be. It should be us really that are sort of leading this team. It shouldn't be not leading the team in terms of performances. We know a lot of us are either in or coming up to our sort of peak of our career, so we should sort of be surpassing that. And like I said, apart from Leroy, I don't think anyone could have really been very content with the season last year.
No, and I think some of your star players as well, because we know you've got some talent in that dressing room. I would hope as, and this, I'm just saying this on behalf of, Giants fans, I would hope that, some of those players who are probably on the bigger contracts, whilst delighted for Leroy, took a moment of reflection and said, this just isn't good enough. You want a reaction from those players, don't you? You want a reaction from your teammates. The same way that you've just said there, you yourself understand you've got to have a positive reaction from that as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Rob will have a big impact on that. He's a very honest guy, and he's doing a lot of work behind the scenes now that people won't be seeing. That'll stand us in good stead as a club in the future. It'll take time though. It won't just, you can't just turn it around straight away. But I think he'll have a bigger impact than what people think, especially because he didn't play that long ago, so he knows what it's like. He's not out of touch with those young players, and he also knows what he wants, and he won't take no nonsense. He won't. Yeah, so I think he'll have a big impact, and I think he'll sort of.
So is that sorry for interrupting you, maybe? Is that culturally? Is that training methods? When you're saying he's doing a lot that you're seeing behind the scenes, of course, the Huddersfield people who are watching this won't know what you mean by that. So if you can just touch on what do you mean by that? Is it cultural? Is it training methods? What is it?
So the training methods will definitely change. I think that was a big thing that the players identified sort of throughout the year before Robo got in charge. That it was it maybe was what wasn't tailored to personal needs sort of thing. It was more the team. So I think Rob will change that over pre-season. But yeah, culturally, definitely, that's where I make the biggest change. And it's tough and it'll take a while. But like I say, establishing that leadership group, that core leadership group will be a big thing. And just sort of putting his foot down. I think he'll be honest and open with what he wants, and I don't think he'll take anything less than that. And that's something we need, but it's also hard because you need the majority on side, and I think Rob will get that because he's, like I say, he's relatable. He's not long retired, so he can be on the same page with the players. I've not met Liam Finn yet, so I can't say much about him. But if Robbo sort of brought him in, then he must be good.
Happy days. And then, somebody that, fans outside of Huddersfield, not one person has not got nothing but respect for Ken Davey. You'll have met Ken on many, many occasions. As a rugby league man, but also as a man, how special is Ken Davey?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's a better man than most. I think a lot of people would have pulled out a long time ago. Yeah, he's just really passionate about the game. His late wife was also very passionate. I think that's a big reason why he's sort of stayed involved with the club and kept doing what he does. But he's also got his grandchildren are involved in the club now, sort of up there in the. I'm not sure under sort of what role, but they're really passionate about it as well. So his whole family's sort of involved in the club. But yeah, he's a great man, and we're lucky to have him because I think the club wouldn't survive without him.
Happy days. And of course, let's move on to 25. And thanks for being, giving us that insight into 24. Just represented Ireland over a win against Scotland recently. I think you got your first international try, am I right?
I did, yeah.
There you go, eh? Hey, that brought a smile to your face. Ireland, on what grounds are you playing for Ireland? Obviously, you're born Blackpool. What's the heritage there?
So my mum's mum was Irish, born in Ireland, so that's my link. Sort of, to be fair, I didn't know. Found out when I was in, because my mum's mum moved over to England when she was young.
Yeah.
I found out when I was in Australia before the World Cup, and then coming in Ireland, and then Jed Corcoran's been great. He's the head coach there. He sorted it all out for me, and it's kind of, you don't know what to expect till you get sort of in the environment. But that World Cup was it was great, and it kind of it makes you a bit sort of, it makes you a lot more passionate, and it makes you a bit emotional about it. But yeah, I'm really I'm really proud to play for him now. So we all say as a group of lads, it's the best time of the year playing for Ireland. You got a load of passionate lads with sort of something in common, and yeah, it really makes you want to play for the badge.
And of course, played alongside George King, who's going to be joining you next year.
Yeah,
that's a good sign. We've been very impressed with Kingy. I mean, obviously, he didn't get as much game time last year, but I think his time at KR, when he left Warrington, I don't think, as a Warrington fan, I don't think many people broke too much sweat when he left. And that's not being harsh on George. That's just, when you've got the likes of Vaughan coming in and this, that, the other, Warrington fans aren't going to bat an eyelid, are they? But I think what Warrington fans did do when I think they gained a lot of respect for the way George played for KR, and to the point where I think certainly, maybe not last year, but maybe the year before, there was a couple of Warrington fans, especially that under the Darryl Powell tenure where Warrington was struggling. They were looking at George King going, why on earth do we let him go? Because he was ripping it up, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's underrated. He just does his job really well. He's a hard worker on the field. Yeah, you might be surprised, but he's a good leader. He talks really well. And he's good at keeping the lads in check. Obviously, he's captain of Ireland. Yeah, I played against him when he played at KR last year, I think it was. I think I played against him this year as well. And he's just a solid player. He's one of them where if he runs at you, you're going to have to put your full body into it, otherwise he's going to run over you.
I don't envy you, mate. I don't. I say this to everybody I speak to. Fair play to you. I mean, what you guys put yourselves through for our entertainment, nothing but. I'm humble. I'm humble in your company, mate. Total respect for what you do. So you personally this year, you're obviously ambition. I mean, you talked about the leadership group. Are you in contention for that? Do you think would that be something that you'd want to do?
Yeah, definitely. I was involved in it at the back end of this year. Yeah, sorry, this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, But I also want to earn it. You know, I want to be in there on merit, not just because. You know, to be fair, I don't talk much. Like I'm not a big talker. I'm not one that's telling people to do this or that. I'm pretty quiet, keep myself to myself, and kind of try and lead with my actions. But yeah, like I said, I wanted to go to a club where I could make influence in the long term. I feel like I can do that here. I'm contracted to the end of 27, so I'm passionate about helping the club move forward, not just my own career, but you know, as a club. Because at the end of the day, the better the club do, the better everyone else does, then the better I do. So you know, it all works hand in hand. But yeah, definitely, I'd want to be involved in that. I'm pretty sure Rob probably knows that. But so do most people. You know, we all want to be involved. And yeah, but then again, you've got a lot of experience. You've got George coming in. You've got Tom Burgess. You've got Leroy there. So yeah, I just want to learn from them. That's my main thing.
Yeah, and you know, the moment you stop learning, mate, is the moment you go backwards, isn't it? I mean, obviously, I think it's fair to say, and I'm just going to put this out here: when you look at 2024 as a season at Huddersfield Giants, you know, you're a first teamer now. You're there, whether it be second row, whether it be loose forward, you're in. You're a contender. You're playing. You personally this year, you know, fingers crossed where injuries are concerned. Ambition to play the full 27 rounds.
Yeah, definitely. I want to play full 8 minutes of the full 27 rounds at 13. That's my goal. It's just obviously it's up to Robbo to pick his 13, but at the same time, I'll give my best wherever I'm played, whether it's back row 13 off the bench, wherever I think Robbo probably already knows that I'll give my best each week. But it's rugby league is about more. It's about more than that. You know, you've got to hone in on your skill and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I want to be thriving next year. I don't just want to be a passenger in a sinking ship. I want to be one of the leaders in sort of a club that's getting better.
Good man. And when Earl was on, I don't know if I've told you this, I don't think you have. So let's get a reaction on this. Earl Crabtree said, and I quote, he sees in Harry Rushton a future Huddersfield Giants captain. That was his words. What do you make of that?
No, I'm pretty humbled by that. Yeah, no, it's nice to hear. Like I say, I don't talk much. I try and lead with my actions, and if that did come about one day, then I'd be, I'd be very proud of that. But I just need to focus on I just focus on the day-to-day training. Training and then into the games. I don't try and focus any further into the future, but yeah, it's nice to hear that, especially from Earl. He's a legend of the club. He's still involved, obviously, as you'll know. So yeah, no, it's not nice to hear.
There you go. I thought I'd save that one to the back end of the in combo. But you talked about culture, leadership groups. You know, you talked about new players coming in and a hard core of leaders that have been through it. For someone like Earl Crabtree, who, let's be fair, was there in probably their most recent glorious period when they won the League Leaders Shield and were competing. For him to identify in you what you yourself said the club need, that's got to put a spring in your step now when you start training tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I feel I don't really let any outside noise change the way I do anything. I'll always go in, train my hardest, do what I think's right. But yeah, I'm excited, and I'll be. You know, I don't know what this next few weeks are going to look like in terms of pre-season training. In terms of we've got a new head of performance, we've got a new assistant coach, so it's exciting times for me as a player. Never mind the fans. And yeah, we've got a good willing group, good core of young players that are coming through. That some haven't played yet, some have played, and I think if we can keep us all together, that'll make a big difference.
Well, look, mate. The very, very best of luck for 25. I mean, I hope I don't rub the lamp here. It can't be any worse than 2024, can it? We need a competitive Huddersfield Giants. We need that stadium. We need a strong and vibrant Huddersfield for the good of the comp. Let's hope that that's the case. And of course, 27, you've got 3 more years there at the Giants. Well, will we say a captain's armband on it? If that'd be outstanding if that happened to you. Right, let's do a 1 to 13. I said we'd end on this. Your 1 to 13 that you would go out and captain from the players that you have played alongside in your career. Okay, you have to have played with them. We're going to start at fullback. Who would you pick at fullback in your 1 to 13?
Well, 13. You know, I should have been thinking about this. I'm not. I'll go Tuilola here at fullback.
Yeah, I mean that. And I'll say it. I think Tui has got incredible skill. We saw that at Castleford, the last game of the season where he does his best, and he's got that in his locker. We know he has. Didn't produce it as much as he should have done last year, but the guy's box office. Do you think he's going to be one next year, or do you see him in the halves? Where do you see him?
I've no idea. But
Where do you think he plays best?
I like him at fullback personally.
Yeah.
He also plays halves. He's a good defender in the line. I think the better the pack do, the better he'll do next year. It's hard as a spine to work off a pack that's not dominating. So that's where we need to help him next year and sort of start dominating games.
Spot on. I mean, Lachlan Lamb. It was only when the heavy artillery came back did we see the best of Lachlan Lamb in League last year. The opening to the season, he couldn't do what he could do. So that's a point well made. Right, who are your 2 wingers, mate?
Adam Swift on one wing. I'll go Xavier Savage on the other.
Ooh. Talk us about Xavier. Go on, because there'll be a few people who don't know him. So on to you.
Yeah, he's an amazing athlete. He's probably the fastest player that I've played with. He's driving now in the NRL. He's put some size on. He's strong now, fast. Probably similar to play sort of people that don't know him, like Adokar sort of type player. But he's one of them that can, a bit like Tui, that can just create something out of nothing.
Adam Swift, massive hammer blow for you that last year. I mean, I think he was on something like an 8-9 game scoring streak. He did the same for Hull the year before. If you can get Swifty back on the park, massive. The man is a born finisher. Who's your 2 centres?
Matthew Tomoko and on his day, Isan Masters. Yeah.
Sorry to see him go? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. I think he would probably admit himself he was up and down in form, but when he was on form, he's a real handful. He'll do really well at Salford.
Yeah. I mean, obviously a lot of talking. Maybe Nene McDonald potentially not being there next year. It's going to be interesting 3 into 1 there. If they all stay, McDonald, Lafay, and Masters, that's a hell of a battle for 2 positions, isn't it?
Yeah, but they've got, I don't know if you've seen the way that Nene's been playing for PNG, but he can play fullback pretty well.
So it's Ryan Bryler that should be worried. Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. But I'm no coach myself. I don't know the best, but I'd play him at fullback.
Happy days. He won't be your agent anytime soon if you're losing his position. Who have you got in the halves?
Jack Whiten and I'll go Jack Whiten and Jamal Fogarty, both the Canberra halves. Obviously, Jack's well known.
Absolutely.
Jack's a freak of nature. He's amazing. He just, like I say, great athlete, and he knows the game inside out. And Jamal's a really, really steady head at 7. Got a great kicking game. He's does really well. Similar to like you were saying about Harry Smith before, really well at controlling a team. He's really passionate about the game. I remember when I was at Canberra, he'd always be in there with his notebook, every video session, writing everything down. He's really diligent with the way he goes about his work.
Superb. Who's your front row?
It's going to be a full Canberra team. Actually, you know what? Now we'll go. Yeah, you've got Joe Tarpany and Josh Pulley. They've proved themselves at Canberra over many years. Them two on an international level, Josh at state of origin level. yeah, they'll go down as two of the best front rows to play the game.
Absolutely, legends of the club. There's no doubt. Hookers, who you got at number 9?
Ooh. I'll go on Mia Burrow at 9. I think he's very underrated. I think he'll do really well at all. He's a great guy. He's strong. He's powerful. I think under a right coach and given the right opportunity, a fair opportunity, I think he'll do really well. I think he'll surprise a lot of people.
Be a good battle in Balfour, because obviously Balfour had a good season last season in the games that he played. That'd be interesting to keep an eye on next year for you all FC fans. And then, of course, you're 13. So who have you got ahead of you? Who's in that second row?
Second row is Hudson Young. It's not full Canberra team. There's Hudson Young at one back row. He's flying at the minute, playing for Australia. And the other, Kai Pearce-Paul. Decent back row. That, yeah, he's doing really well as well. He's England over there as well. He's had a really good year. I've been watching him. So I think that's a decent team. I wouldn't have myself in the team. I'd have myself 18th man. I'll watch from the bench.
Well, everybody says that, but you've got a captain the side. Who would? So, but I'll let you replace yourself at 13. So, if you got a bit of a twinge in the warm up, who you putting in to replace you at 13?
On his current form, it's got to be Leroy, hasn't it?
And that's what I said, because I thought you'd want to get him in. So there you go. You can have a bit of Leroy, could Joe? Don't go anywhere. We'll have a little chat in a minute. But look, that has been really, really good. Really enjoyed your company. On behalf of everybody here at Super League Raw, go well in 2025. Hopefully, who knows, might see you at our little launch on the 21st of Jan. And in terms of your dad, tell him we really appreciate his support. He's watching us. He knows where he should be on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. Super League Raw. Hey, try and catch one yourself while you're in the bath, mate, in that ice bath that you have. You might enjoy the way we do it. It's going right the way through the winter. But on behalf of everybody at Super League Raw, the very best of luck for 2025. Thank you very much for your time today, Harry. And we will stay in touch. And mate, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.